To have a facility like this come into our neighborhood is just not something that no one in this neighborhood wants.
Mint Innovation's biomining operation would be right next to homes, schools, and churches like the Woodland Hills Baptist Church across the street.
I'm all for technology, but I'm not for the accidents it might cause and what might happen to this neighborhood if something does happen.
The vacant property is already zoned as heavy commercial. In May, City Council planned to rezone the land and approve a special use permit, but was tabled after public pushback. The city then held a public meeting later that month to educate the community and hear their feedback. Tonight, those citizens gathered to share their message with others.
We've got enough with Eastman and everybody polluting us, and these people are wanting to give the permits before we find out anything about it.
They're not paying attention to what the people are wanting.
And I was actually horrified that the company has not provided a list of chemicals that they're going to use, nor the chemical reaction that will happen.
One attendee, Shanda Mitchell, says she did her own research and found
you have 17 chemical reactions that happen that are toxic: gas emissions, toxic to aquatic life, water contamination, air pollution, toxic to animals, habitat destruction, and especially to children.
A petition has been made with about 800 signatures. Council plans to take action at the June 13th City Council meeting.
If they approve it, that's the law, and we go by that. We're not going to like that, and I'm going to encourage anyone who voted for it to remember them at election time.
Christine Guevara, KLTV 7 News.
We reached out to the Longview Economic Development Corporation, the city, and the property owners. All have declined to comment on what was said tonight.